Hello, and welcome to this guided embodiment practice. And just before we get started, I just very quickly want to say and want to remind you that for some people, especially if they've experienced trauma, bringing that real awareness to the body can often intensify and bring up really, really uncomfortable feelings. And it's really important to remind yourself that whilst you might want to do these practices and to become more present in your own body, you also have to really look after yourself. And so, if something is too uncomfortable, if it is making you feel more anxious and intensifying those feelings, then please don't push yourself. Okay, be very gentle with yourself, very kind with yourself, and find a way to make yourself feel more comfortable. Okay, so I just wanted to remind you of that before you get started. Okay, so I just want you to close your eyes, just bringing your awareness to your breath. Okay, we're not trying to force or change our breath in any way. Just bringing awareness to it. Just allowing our body to settle into the space. And I just want you to notice where in your body your attention is being drawn. Okay, so for me at the moment, I'm experiencing quite a lot of anxiety. I'm perimenopausal, and I'm feeling it very deeply in my chest at the moment. So my chest feels quite tight, it feels quite heavy. Okay, so for me, that's where I'm immediately being drawn to. So as you have your eyes closed, it may be that you are being drawn somewhere in your body. And quite often, it's a feeling or a sensation that isn't particularly pleasant, because that's the human way. Yeah, that's our negativity bias. We are drawn towards the things that feel more negative or unpleasant. Okay, and so we're just going to allow ourselves to be drawn there. All right. Now, what often happens when we do this, when we are drawn to that place that feels uncomfortable, so for me, again, it's my chest that feels heavy and tight, is our brain instantly wants to go into a story. So our brain wants to start to spiral and tell us why and what it means. I've got a tight chest. That means I'm really anxious. For me, my story instantly will be, you're an imposter and you're no good at what you do. How can you work with people on their energy when you are experiencing these feelings? And of course, we know that's a story. We know that's what our brains do. But you know, that is what our brains do. And so to help us to stay present in this feeling, especially as we don't really want to stay present in the feeling, is instead of allowing our brains to go off, if we chant and label, it keeps us very focused on that feeling, right? So for me, I would repeat. You can do this in your head, you don't have to do it out loud, but I might just repeat: chest, 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 tight, heavy, tight, heavy, chest. And I'll just repeat whatever words come up. And what that does is it forces me to stay very present in that feeling. Okay? Forces is a bit of a unfortunate choice of words, actually, but it helps me. It helps me stay present in that feeling, because our brain wants to pull us out of it. Our brain wants to pull us out of our body and into our head. And so by repeating and naming and labeling where we are, our brain isn't able to go off on one, and we're able to stay present in that feeling. Okay, and that's important. We can do that for about 45 seconds to a minute, maybe 2 minutes. All right, but again, use your own judgment on what is right for you. Then from there, what we're going to do now is we're going to actively shift our focus. So I'm going to go and find somewhere in my body now that feels either pleasant or neutral. Okay, and quite often it's difficult to find somewhere that feels pleasant when we're feeling terrible. Is there anywhere that feels pleasant? To be honest, I would say not for me at the moment. I'm sitting on quite an uncomfortable chair. That doesn't help. So if that happens, you find somewhere neutral, okay? And by neutral, tip your nose, earlobes, they're quite neutral in that you can't really, they don't have like big sensations one way or another, right? So, but maybe you notice, that your feet actually feel quite warm. Maybe you've got like a nice soft blanket on and you can feel that against your skin. Like anything like that. Maybe you notice that your, I was going to say shoulders feel quite relaxed, but that's quite an uncommon one, right? So just either somewhere pleasant or somewhere that's neutral. So I'm going to go to my nose. So again, we do the same thing, right? So focus our attention on that space and just stay present in that space, so you can just repeat. So I might just repeat nose, 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 nothing, neutral, nose, nose. And again, just staying in that space. You might notice when you do this that your attention wants to wander, or maybe there's another part of your body that kind of pipes up. And you're like, oh yeah, actually, yeah, my hands just feel quite relaxed. And actually over my chest, like, it feels quite soft. So I might bring my attention to that. And you can move around. And often what else happens is that you might find that your attention is drawn back to the place that felt quite negative. And that's okay as well. Just notice it, yeah? And then take your attention back to the neutral or the positive space. Okay, but again, we'll do that for a good 2 minutes. And then once you've done that, then you can consciously bring your awareness back to the place that felt quite unpleasant to begin with and notice. So it may be that you feel a bit lighter. It may be that things have shifted a little bit for you. Or it may be that it hasn't and it's exactly the same, and that's okay too. Okay, the goal of this exercise isn't to actually change anything or shift anything. The goal of this exercise is to become present, to notice, to accept, but crucially also to really know that two things can be true at the same time. And so even when you have like this real intense negative feeling or like this tightness, this real anxiety, you can still feel neutrality. You can still feel there's other parts of your body that still can feel good at the same time. And so that's really important to notice. So when your brain is telling you that this is all consuming, just remember that it's not. And you have so much more going on in your body at one time. So I hope that helps.